Good morning. We'll get ready and get started here. Welcome, everybody. This is our freshman frequently asked questions answered. We have a lot of people here today, a lot of information for you, and then we're going to open it up to questions at the end. Okay, so let's get started. I'm Claire Tiscornia.
And I'm Karen Kelly.
And this is Karen Kelly. We're the co-chairs for the 9th grade networking. So today we're going to have the English and Math department chairs come in. They're currently teaching a class right now, so they'll be coming in and out, so that's part of the program, don't worry. We have our principal, Bill Egan. We have our school resource officer, Officer Lambert, and we have a parent panel who will come up later in the meeting to answer a lot of your questions. All right, so Bill, do you want to come and start? Yeah. Okay, do you want to There you go.
Well, hi, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well and the year is off to a good start. We're at the first, progress report section of the year. What I would encourage you to do, if you have any questions, please make sure you reach out to your child's teachers. Hopefully you're doing that regularly. Teachers are here to give feedback, and if you feel like you're not getting enough feedback, what I want you to do is certainly reach out to each of your child's teachers, because that's something that they should be doing for you. I hope you guys are having a great year so far. This is a wonderful place. It truly is. I think our kids are excited to be here, generally all the time, sometimes too excited. But they are excited to be here, and they really care about this high school. It truly is a special place. A couple things I really want to go over. I know some questions have been about some policies that we've not policies, guidelines we put in place this year around cell phones and around homework. It's a fascinating thing because I actually surveyed, really not even thinking that this was going to be on my little list today, but I surveyed the kids yesterday and I surveyed the staff yesterday. And I had 3 questions for them. Number 1, are you putting cell phones in the cell phone cradles when you enter the classroom? And I'll share the data with you guys on Friday in my weekly update, but generally, it was about 80% of the kids said, yes, I'm doing that. I'm putting it into the cradles when they walk into the class. And 90% of the teachers said that they were having the kids put it in the cradles. There were a couple exceptions, like I needed a stopwatch, I needed different things, so that's where some teachers said they didn't do it. The second question was around homework. Now, as you know, we've put in a few guidelines around homework this year. We want homework to be, on average, around 25 minutes a night. We don't want kids, if they have a digital assignment, really going up past 11 o'clock at night, because we want kids to be able to get sleep. So those are really the 2 biggest things, then posting by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So those are really the 3 biggest things. But the only thing I really asked teachers and students yesterday was, are you spending about 25 minutes a night? Interestingly, the kids, I think it was 20% or so, said yes, and 80% said I'm spending more than that. I asked the teachers, and they had the opposite reaction. 99% said I'm only giving 25 minutes a night of the 55 respondents. So there's some conversations that we need to have around that to say, truly, are you asking your kids, is it taking 25 minutes a night? Because that's a conversation that needs to happen. And then the second piece that I'm going to ask, and this is what I'm going to send to you guys as well, is what are we doing for homework? Do we have a homework spot when your kids go home? Are they working on homework in an isolated spot away from their cell phones? Because some of you, the answer may be yes. For some of you, the answer might be no, or I'm not sure, or I rely on my child. The piece of that, and I know this from firsthand experience now having a freshman in high school myself, my daughter will, I was about to say lie, that's not really fair. I know we tape this, but manipulate and say she needs her phone for blah to be able to do her homework. And I'm an idiot. I'm the high school principal. I'm like, okay. And next thing you know, it takes her a long time to get her work done. So the one thing I would share is it's not that teachers are not following through on this policy. I think there's a combination of things that need to happen. Teachers need to have conversations around that. How long is it taking you guys to do the work? But a secondary piece is, as parents, how are we monitoring our children doing our homework? Because I think that is a really important piece. you know, I've said I've evolved on cell phones. Technology has a really wonderful place, but it's awful evil too. You know, I mean, it really can be problematic in the things that kids can get into, the distraction that it takes away from. I mean, it's really problematic. So what I would ask is that all of you really watch your kids and how they're doing their work. See how long it's taken to do an assignment. Are they distracted? Really kind of dive into what they're doing. Because even the best of our students, and many of our students are really awesome students, will procrastinate on how they do things. That said, we also still need to have conversations here because it's a fascinating survey result. And again, I know it's not a real, you know, high-tech survey that I did with 3 questions like that, but you know, it's kind of fascinating to me that 99% of our teachers say, yeah, I'm holding to 25 minutes, and 80% of the kids said, no way, I have more than 25 minutes. So there's definitely some conversations that still need to happen around that. But that's the one thing I would ask for you guys. Schoology, when will all teachers use it? Well, in theory, all teachers are using it now-ish. It's like Schoology Lite this year. When we get to semester 2, you'll see a little more use. That's where teachers have to kind of fully use it for one class. Not all of their classes, but for one class. Now, the theory behind that is if you can use it for one class, you'll use it for all your classes. So, and by next year, they'll be doing it because it kind of makes no sense to me. If I can do something well once, why not do something well 5 times? So that's the idea behind it, is that we'll get people to buy in and do it. And I think then you'll see a real difference for you guys as far as how you can see what homework is due. It's in one spot, it'll be one-stop shopping versus kind of all over the place. You may not see all access that the kids have and the teachers have because sometimes there's feedback pieces and things like that. But next year is when you guys will get kind of full access to the classes. But for this year, we ask that you ask your children for their code, hop in, take a look at what they can see. Every teacher is probably doing it a little bit differently right now. There are minimum requirements that we ask the teachers to do. Number 1, hopefully I have this exactly right, was they kind of have their name up there. That was one thing they had to do. Number 2 is they had to post the syllabus. And number 3, they had to post when their assessments are going to be. So not homework every night, but when their assessments are going to be. Again, the idea behind that is if you can, hopefully, if you can post when your assessments are going to be, you start posting your homework too, because again, if you can do that, you could do the homework piece too. But the idea is that we're kind of gradually releasing this and adding responsibilities to the teachers throughout the year, where next year they're kind of fully baked in the system. But this year will be a transition year. So if people are expecting it to be awesome, it's probably not going to be awesome for this year. And you probably see homework in a bunch of different spots like Google Classroom or different things like that. Other things. Clubs and communicating with sports. Last year we added something called Remind. I want to check with the other Mr. Egan because I still hear that some teams are using Facebook as elements of communicating. I'm not a fan of that because it's almost like requiring your kids then to have a social media account when we really don't advocate for that. So I'll need to find out a little more about that because last year we purchased, has anybody used Remind? How many sports people do I have here? Are any of the teams using Remind as ways to communicate? Still using Facebook?
It's Facebook.
Yeah, all right. So I'll talk to Mr. Egan about that because I know that's something he really wanted to really have coaches start communicating using Remind. No coach should be using Facebook as a means to communicate, just so you know. There's a history that happened here, and it's sometimes it's hard to change cultures, but it was well before I got here, where the kids were communicating using Facebook with each other. So it almost forced this means of communication. Now, I'm not a fan of that because there's, again, so many studies around, social media use and Facebook and all that, I don't even like the appearance of advocating to kind of mandate the use of that. So I'll talk to Mr. Egan about that a little more as well. I know that he does not want coaches directly communicating via Facebook, and nobody should be doing that. But if they are, kind of let me or the other Mr. Egan know, because all of those communications should happen through kids at that point. No adult should be doing that. And that's why we asked them to use Remind. So I need to check into that a little bit more, because just by the nodding of faces, I could tell that's probably not necessarily accurate. So, but I'll check into that. Homecoming is upcoming. Kids love it. It's one of the best weeks of the year for them. For me, so it's a little bit of a different story. But truly, it's a wonderful time for kids. The one thing I will send a letter home. One of the things I'll have in there will always be about appropriate behavior and things like that. And again, no matter what I send home, 98% of our kids are awesome. Every once in a while, we get kids who make poor choices. So the only thing I ask is that you regularly communicate with your kids around their choices. Now, I get their adolescence, right? They're growing up, and if I told all of you the decisions I made, probably even now, but certainly back when I was in high school, you would probably blush. But realistically, I want them to be safe first and foremost. I want them to never get in trouble. Realizing that my goal is to always protect your kids and protect the community any chance I can. But I want to be able to do that and always make this community look good. For instance, we had some issues around the Ridgefield game. And that was an away game for us. And there were some kids who got themselves in some hot water here at school. I did send a letter home a couple days before, and I had to, for me, some of those communications really, they don't last one day. If a student gets in trouble, this is a really wonderful community. There's very bright people, and they will have conversations with me regarding this, not just for one day, but for multiple days, about whether or not the punishment is just or different things like that. Ultimately, I want to make sure that I always kind of take care of all kids that get in trouble, kids that don't get in trouble, and we give kids an opportunity to really shine, because I do think this is the best school system and school in the state. But that said, if I send something home and I try and communicate a lot, please make sure you talk to your kids about it, because I never want them to receive consequences. I never want them to have to deal with any punitive things. And I say this saying that there are some things I can protect kids from. Sometimes I can't. So, for example, if there's a road event, like meaning if they travel to a different school, it's harder for me to oversee things if it's somewhere else than if it's here. That said, obviously we want kids to make sure they behave everywhere, whether you're here or somewhere else. But certainly, just communicate with your children. I know you do, but just, have conversations with your kids about always appropriate behaviors. And for the most part, our kids are exceptional. Any questions from you guys about the beginning of the year or things that you're thinking about?
I have a question.
Okay.
Maybe I'm reading it incorrectly.
Sure.
Are they doing assessments this week for the honors class or the advanced classes? And I have to pay $110?
Oh, you're reading that wrong. No.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you do. But but you're reading it wrong. It's for the AP classes, and honestly, that's something the College Board now mandates. The College Board is an organization we have no control over. So they really dictate the, they run the AP nationally, not just here in Connecticut, but nationally. And they really kind of dictate the payment and now when you have to pay. So basically kids now have to pay in the fall. Truthfully, I think it's somewhat criminal, but that's the organization that runs all these things nationally. So we have no say over that. So if you see something like that, I feel for you, but it's not us. So just know that.
I just wanted to know: is it for 9th grade? Is it for?
It's only for the grades that are taking an AP test. So for example, there could be some. We do have a 10th grade AP test, but 11th and 12th graders would the majority of those happen. Yeah, nothing in 9th grade that students are taking.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
When you've been talking to the teachers about the cell phone policy, have any of them been reporting back that kids are still texting like via their computers?
Well, we're working on that too. I mean, we're looking at it as a kind of one step at a time piece. Some teachers are talking to their kids about how to disable their computers so they can't do that during class. But again, I don't want to overwhelm people. It's, to me, one step at a time. We're taking the phones away, and we'll move into that piece of kind of looking at communication, through the computers too. So we're not naive. We know that is a possibility. But let's start with the cell phones and look there. Speaking of cell phones. Mr. Bloss is here, and teachers are coming down to kind of talk about some things as they get out of class, so I do want to turn it over to him. I'll be around if anybody needs me to answer any questions throughout the time, though, okay? So thank you so much, and Mr. Bloss, you're up.
Okay, I don't know what am I, just... No, I think I have an idea. I'm just kidding, just kidding.
Of course he knows what he's doing.
I know exactly what I'm talking about. Good morning, everybody. My name is Anthony Bloss. I'm the Mathematics Code Department Chair. This is mostly ninth grade parents? Is that what we're doing? Okay, so let me just walk you through extra help, how that works. All of my teachers make plenty of time to meet with your child. That should have been laid out in the syllabus on day one. It should be posted in Schoology or on their website when they're available. I'm going to talk about some of the other resources that we have available. But please understand, the first place your child should go for extra help is their teacher. Okay, they're the content expert. They're the ones writing the exams. They're the ones who know your child the best, quite honestly. Start with them. And like I said, all of my teachers make plenty of time available to meet with, with your children. It's actually one of our favorite parts of the day. We prefer to meet with your kids, than do some of the other stuff. So as long as they're proactive and talk to the teacher and make an appointment, the teacher will be there. Some of the other resources we have available, Schoology. I'm sure Mr. Egan spoke about Schoology. All of my teachers are using Schoology and are
No, they're not.
Okay.
They're not.
Okay.
My
Well,
daughter was sick yesterday, she couldn't get her homework.
okay. Well, then we can talk offline. Most of them are. That's where I am posting all of my homework assignments, all of my resources. If somebody isn't using it, then an email to the teacher would suffice. But it's all, again, we can talk offline about that, but it's, I know personally, there is literally no excuse for any of my students to not know what was going on in my class. Please do.
So Mr. Bloss is trying to set it up so that all of his department does.
Yeah.
The only issue that there is that the requirement for teachers is not necessarily to be fully baked into Schoology yet. So they can kind of say, well, I don't have to do that because I'm doing the minimal requirement, meaning the syllabus is there. Hopefully they're posting their assessments, and then they're pretty much their name and picture or whatever. The encouragement of the department chair will get more people doing it, and I hope all of them. But that's not I just want to be clear that that's not the requirement of them for right now. Once we get into second semester, they have a requirement of one class fully using it, and again, if they're can do it for one, they should do it for all is kind of the way I look at it, but realistically only for one class for a second semester. So hopefully we get all of them, but it's certainly not their requirement for right now.
I can honestly say, just to piggyback off of that most of my teachers are doing, because I've seen it, are doing more than is currently being required, but not everybody is there yet. So my goal, or our goal, Mrs. Pavy and I, are to get everybody to that place in as quick amount of time as possible. That being said, if your child wasn't in class or didn't know what the assignment was, they're more than welcome to shoot an email to the teacher, and my teachers are pretty responsive. Extra help. We have this year a walk-in math help center in the math office. It's the first year that we're doing it. It is manned and womaned by certified math teachers. We are volunteering our time to help students during our prep periods. So what that means is if your child, for whatever reason, can't meet up with their teacher and it's something last minute that requires maybe a 15 or 20 minute sit down, with a certified teacher to go over a problem, to prepare for a test, to review an assessment they just got back, they can just walk into the math office, it's drop in, and sit with a certified math teacher. Every period first semester except period 2 is covered, and I believe in the second semester, every period but period 7 is covered, simply because there's only 13 of us, and we can only cover 1 period per semester. So that is new this year. We've had in the past a temp sit in there who's got a math background help the kids. This is the first year where there's actual math teachers sitting in there. And it doesn't have to be your child's teacher. If they have a question and they're stuck and their teacher's not available, please tell them that they can stop by the math office and our teachers will help them. That's, you know, we decided last year we wanted to do this. We wanted to help more and more kids be successful. So that's available to them this year. But again, start with the classroom teacher. That's the person who, like I said, is the expert with the content, who writes the test, quite honestly, and who knows your child the best. As we approach midterms, I know we're not there yet, but before you know it, we'll be there. Your child will receive a review packet for the midterm. I ask my teachers, and you know, historically we've been pretty good about it. We try to get those to you before the holiday break. We're not going to require your child to look at it over break, but we want to give them the opportunity that if they do have some downtime and want to start looking things over, they have the ability to do so. So just be aware that they will be receiving some type of review packet, depending on the course and the level, in mid to end of December. What else do I need to? Is there anything else you want me to talk about? Am I doing all right? Why don't I open it up for questions and we can go from there, because I have about 7 minutes and then I have to get back to class, unfortunately. Hi.
Just wondering where the math office is.
The math office is on the first floor opposite the English office. If you walk out of guidance and you look, there's the round staircase. That's this floor. On this floor. If you walk out of the guidance suite and you're looking at the spiral staircase, if you keep looking straight, there are 2 offices on the left and the right. The left is the math office, the right is the English office. So that's where the math office is. That was an easy one. Hi, in the back.
Back, yes. Is it true that in 10th grade, if you have a child that wants to do this, they can double up in math and take like a geometry?
That's a loaded question. It depends. It depends on how well they did in Algebra 1. It depends on have we had kids do it? Yes, but we don't allow everybody. We're pretty selective on who we allow to do it because, quite honestly, it's a daunting task and it's asking quite a bit of the child. So the answer to your question is yes, we do allow it, but again, we do a lot of research and a lot of due diligence to make sure that we're setting that child up for success. Hi.
You want to talk just quickly on the online resources a tiny bit?
Yeah, we're a lot of my teachers now are doing video tutorials. I'll just give you an example. A lot of our teachers are now doing videos. They're doing their own Khan Academy videos, basically, and they're posting them online for their students to use. And more of us are going to start to do that. The goal eventually is that all of us are doing it to some extent. We're not there yet, but we're working towards it. Those videos are made available to the students, and again, right now we're sort of in, not a flux, but we've got Schoology. Some teachers are still using Google Classroom. Some teachers are still using the website. Long story short, those types of resources are available. For me personally, I make all of any worksheet or any notes that I give out are posted on my Schoology page. So if a child forgets or misses class, they can go right to the unit and they'll pick up and know exactly what they missed. Now, if your child's sick for 3 or 4 days, the expectation is not when they get back that all the work is done, okay? That's not the expectation. But we have more and more kids every year that are pretty worried about what they're missing when they're out. And I can tell you personally that they will know in my classes what they missed because of what I'm doing on Schoology. And I know that most of my teachers are doing it in some variety on some platform currently. The goal is eventually all of us to move to Schoology. So,
in the meantime, is Khan Academy a pretty good?
Khan Academy is a good resource to use in a pinch. He does a very good job of explaining stuff. The internet can be your friend, but you got to be careful, and just like in other aspects of life. Again, start with the teacher, use the Math Help Center, and if there still needs additional support, like I said, a lot of our teachers are doing videos. You can use videos that you find online, but that would be not a last resort, but I would make sure I exhaust the other resources first before I do that. Any other questions? I was here for the board meeting last night. I'm getting the heebie-jeebies from this room. No, I'm kidding. And again, if you have any questions regarding anything going on in the department, you can always contact myself or Becky Pavia. But I'm going to say the same thing I said to start. If you have a specific question about the class, in my opinion, have your child talk to the teacher. I think that builds builds self-advocacy and builds those skills that they need to be successful as adults. But you can also contact your teacher as well. Hi.
Are there conferences for the individuals?
No, they're not in high school. If you want to meet with the teacher, make an appointment, and we're all more than willing to do that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It seems Mr. Remley was busy, so we'll either wait for him or we will have the parent panel discuss and address the English department. I know. So now we'll have Officer Lambert come speak with us.
Hi, everybody. How are you? I'm not going to get in front of the mic because you can probably hear me pretty loud. Yeah.
We need you to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can stand.
Oh.
It just doesn't pick up your voice.
Okay.
Thank you.
I thought I was loud enough, but. How do you do? I'm Officer Lambert. I am the school resource officer here, obviously. I've been here for 4 years. I've been working as a police officer for 30 years in this town, so. But my time is coming to an end pretty soon, so. This is probably going to be my last year here at the school. So, anyway, I'm here to talk about school safety. So, we are different than Saks, as you know. We are the only open campus in the whole district. So we have 3 dedicated school monitors here. We have a post outside, 2 inside, where we have 2, the only place to come in the back, in the front, okay? Every other door is supposed to be locked. The kids aren't supposed to be letting anybody in. We don't want any intruders in here. That's why we ask everybody to get their name tags when they come in here for meetings and things, and to have them visible for us, because people will stop and ask and escort you to the monitors if you come in here without that stuff, and that's between school hours, obviously. So that's a unique challenge for us here, because it is an open campus. So that's one of my primary functions here. I also work closely with the school administration with a lot of different things. They were talking about, with any problems that might arise, obviously with cyberbullying and things like that. We work together on trying to eliminate that problem, so we don't have to go to the police department. I'm a liaison between us and the police department, where we don't want to make it a criminal problem if we can help it, okay? That's what one of my other functions is. And let me see. Oh, the vaping. Vaping, as you know, is a problem here. We do have a vaping issue. Anybody tell which one is my eyeglass case and what's the vaping? No, you can't, right? This is it right here. This is some of the stuff that we've taken off the kids here at school. And vaping's the problem, because it's hard to detect. These kids can go into the bathroom, they can go into a stall, and I can't go into the stall to say, hey, what's going on here? I can't do that, right? We can't have cameras there, right? So how I've caught them in the past, and that's just not me, they get caught by, they're so brazen is that they go out in front of, in class, and they have done this in front of a teacher and they gotten caught. I mean, that's just stupid, right? So I don't know if you guys ever seen any of these, but these are the jewels right here. You can come up and take a look at them later on, right? These are the pods. So every time we catch someone, I will field test it for drugs to see if there's any THC. I have a field testing kit in my office that I use quite often. And so these are disposable. They get rid of these, and these are what they recharge them so they can smoke their vapes. Now, there's different types of vaping things. There's another one right here, and these are all chargeable. So you could plug them into your computer, and you charge them right up. So
They have those in ninth grade?
oh, look, when you're exposed to older kids, this stuff is going to happen. You're going to be exposed to this stuff, and we try to stop it as much. But this is on the rise, and it's very dangerous. If you've been reading all the reports on the vaping coming out now, they don't know what's going into these pods, and it's very, very dangerous. So just be concerned, alert about what's going on. Don't have a problem going through your kids' backpacks, because we're finding that nobody here uses a locker. Okay, they all carry their stuff with them all the time, and we have caught kids in the past selling vapes to kids. So that's a big problem. That would be more of a criminal issue then, because we're not going to allow that to happen, right? So this is the big problem right here that we're really concerned about. If you talk to Janet Reed, she has a lot of facts on how dangerous this stuff is. So we're very cognizant about trying to stop this type of thing, but it can't be totally stopped. So, but just be aware of it. Kids have come up to me in school and told me that there's kids at certain times vaping or selling stuff, and we try to take appropriate actions on that. So, what else am I supposed to?
Excuse me.
Yes.
How else do you know if a kid is vaping? I mean, if you're smoking, you can smell it, but.
It's very difficult, and that's one of the challenges that we have found with this vaping. It's very, very difficult, and it's got to be, kids got to be able to come up to me and tell me, say, hey, this is going on. Suspect this person, and like I said, I will work with the administration. They have, believe it or not, they have more leeway to be able to check kids' backpacks than I can. They are allowed to just pull a kid in and check the backpack thing. So I cannot do that. All right. So So we talk about things, and they can act on it. And then if we get to another level, then I can intercede and get involved. Yes.
Is the health department, obviously the health classes?
Oh, yes. As far as I know, now I'm not involved with any of the curriculum aspect of those things, but I know they do talk about those things. They've been going into the classes, and I think even any of the sports teams, they're talking about those things too. So,
especially in the last few months.
Yeah, it's bad. It's getting.
New ones are actually.
Yes, and they were talking even about having medals in some of these things. I mean, that's all. And we had an issue last year where somebody was ordering things off of the dark web, and you hear about the dark. I didn't even know what the dark web was until they showed me how to get onto it. I was like, oh my God. I mean, the stuff that you can order on there was ridiculous. And so who knows where these things are coming from? I mean, what country, what they're filling them with. I mean, and these kids were. They don't know, and these kids had access to these like no problem. They had their parents' credit card, and they were ordering these things to their house with not a problem. So that was that was another issue that we had last year. As you find, look, and another thing is there's more freedom here in this school than it was at Saks, right? It's not as controlled. They have free time. They can go wherever they want, freeze, right? They're not supposed to leave campus. Only the seniors are allowed to leave campus. Does it happen that other kids do leave? Yes. Also, another issue that we've had, I'm sorry if I keep rambling on, if we can come back to things, but all of a sudden these things pop into my head. We have a lot of kids get tired of the food here, so they order Uber Eats. I don't want any Uber driver on this campus. And sometimes the Ubers come on here to pick up students, which is not legal unless you're over 18, all right? So just be aware of that kind of thing. We are going to stop that if we come in contact with it. We will send them away. We don't want any people on this campus that are not supposed to be during school hours. And if you hear of any, look, obviously if you give permission to your student to leave with the new, nothing we can do about that, right? But we don't want anybody leaving. Freshmen cannot leave campus. And we will stop them. We will bring them into the office to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
That happened for sophomore and juniors, but
They're not supposed to. They're not supposed to.
juniors, juniors.
We can't stop everybody. There's only 3. Sometimes there's only 2 monitors, and we have nobody out there. I have asked in the past. We've had one of our regular guys is out on had surgery. He's not going to be back for a while. So we have a part-time guy coming here. So now sometimes we're down to 2 guys. Yeah. Well, that has something I have no control over, unfortunately. But when we were full strength, like we had the 3 full-time people, I was asking for the week to get a 4th person here, and then he was supplying it for us. We were at a roving guy, but unfortunately we're down to 3 right now. So it's tough. It's tough to keep tabs of everybody coming in and out. Some of the kids will park over there at the water tower, and they will take off from there. So as seniors are supposed to have first priority on parking passes, then it goes down to juniors, and then if there's any left, it's supposed to go to sophomores, but I don't see that. As you experienced today, the parking here can be very tough. So got to get here early for everything, find a spot. Yes?
During the school day, what doors can people go in and out?
Just this front, where they can go out any door,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
but they can only come back in through the front door here and back in athletics. That's it.
Nothing on that side.
Nothing on that side. Unless you have a badge to get through, right? You can unlock it. Have the kids unlocked it or unopened it for other kids? Yes. And we tell them, don't do that. It's part of their own safety. Oh, and as far as safety is concerned, we just implemented Alice, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. The school district has implemented a new program. It's called Alice, and it's basically something to do when we have a lockdown. It's different ways that you can protect yourself. And in the old days of locking a room and hiding under the table are gone. We're allowing these kids to make decisions on their own what they want to do. Or if we're in a classroom, we might be barricading ourselves in. There's just different things. And we've implemented this last year at the high school, it works well at the high school. At the lower levels, they're limited in what they can do. But we have been working with, there's a lot of us that are trained as Alice instructors, and we've been changing the focus on our lockdown procedures here at the high school. So, and he said, and Bill will send out email blasts regarding our lockdowns when we go through those drills during the day. So those things have changed. And I don't know what they did at Saks, if they just locked down and stayed in a classroom. We try not to do that if it's feasible. We'll have them leave the building if possible, if God forbid something like that were to happen. So. Anything else?
I want to end on that, do you?
No, but I want to say, I just was all over the place, right? I mean, I have so much to talk about, I could talk forever, but yes.
Sorry, but can you talk about drinking too?
Let's see. I got to be honest with you. Drinking many years ago was a problem in the school. We haven't found any of that really going on anymore. Now, as far as like going to these athletic events, I want to breathalyze some of the kids at some of these events to quell that kind of thing, but I've been told we can't. So.
By whom? Who's told you can't? I curiosity.
I would say it would go above the administration. So we have the breathalyzers to do it, and we do that at all dances and proms, but for some reason they don't want to do it at the games. And my plan is like you would only have to do a couple games to stop that them from coming. So look, do kids go out and party? Yes, they do. I could tell you that since when I first started, we used to be able to find where all these parties were because the kids would drive. Uber's a big thing now, right? You don't know what's going on in some of these places, and the only reason we find out, we had an incident a few years ago. You might remember, we had a kid that was assaulted. He was injured at a party, and it was a big fallout with the baseball team as far as alcohol during the season and things like that. So I'm always have my eyes open. Everybody that deals with kids in the high school that does a report at the police department forwards me these things, so I'm aware of what's going on, and whether or not I bring it to the attention of the administration, depending how bad it is, or what was the outcome was with the police department, we will talk about. So, but to say it's not a problem, it is. We know that. It happens mostly on the weekends, some of these events, and all we can do is we talk to them and we tell them, it's not good for them and they should be waiting. I know that they talk to them regarding any sports. Everybody knows that every season we talk about it with them before the season starts. And there's more consequences for the athletes than there would be for someone that's not involved with the athletics. So, but we know what happens. So it's you guys got to be aware of it too. So be aware of what's going on, or your kids are at all times. Yes.
So the dance is coming up, I guess, in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So is it like random breathalyzers?
No. What they'll do is they will breathalyze everybody that comes in, and then they cannot leave. And if they leave, they're gone. Those are the rules, and it happens at the proms and everything like that too. So that's it. As soon as they're in, that's it.
One other question.
Yes.
I know some schools have vape detectors, like
Yes.
in bathrooms and stuff. Is that something
That would be a budgetary item, which would be, that would have to come through them. So that would be something that, I think we're probably, unfortunately, not even close to even getting here. So, unfortunately. Anything else on a positive note? Come on. On a positive note? Probably I'm going to finish. This is the class I started with, so I want to see it through, and then I'll be done. So then you have a new SRO next year, probably. Yes?
Do the kids get to go outside during these frees, or is it just a live?
They can stay within the campus. We don't want them going out to like the Waveney Park with the trails right back here. As a matter of fact, last week I saw somebody walk out there. I went out there to see what they were doing. They were just hanging out, but they really don't. We don't really encourage them to go out to the Waveney and stuff like that. But they're not allowed to. But most of the time during lunch, I spend down at the lunch period watching out, because one year we had an intruder come in through the back door. Somebody let him in, and so and he pretended he was a student, and we ended up arresting him and all that. So it was. So I like to hang out where the masses are. So, anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
I try to end on a positive note. It's tough. I get a bad subject. Welcome.
All right, so now I'd like to introduce our parent panel. So Susan Morse, Karen Kelly, Jen Schur, and Jessica Julie. Thank you for volunteering to do this. And you'll see they'll be speaking to certain things here. And if one of you could also maybe speak to the extra help with English. Thank you.
That's one of you. Bill, yeah, exactly. So I'm Sue Morris. I'm the VP of Communications here for the PFA. So all those emails you get, they're coming from me if they get annoying. Sorry. They've got a lot of good information in them, though. So I have a lot of experience here. I have 5 boys. I have a current junior at Michigan State. He was co-captain of the Model UN team when he was here. I have a sophomore at Middlebury who was co-captain of the football team while he was here. Very different children. I have a current senior who is co-president of the Service League of Boys this year. I have a sophomore who is really involved in and out of the high school sport. He does it outside of the high school. That's very time consuming. And I have a kindergartner, because, you know, hey.
You weren't busy enough. You weren't busy enough.
Because, you know, why not? So I can speak to, you know, time management for sports or not sports, getting involved in the school. And I would be happy to talk about the balance, or no, my big thing is the self-advocacy thing. It is really, like, self-advocacy does not mean, go for it, kid, good luck. Like, you really need to coach them, especially in 9th grade. Tell them, you know, like, have you talked to your teacher? Let's compose an email together. Okay, that didn't, how did they respond? What do you want to do from there? Okay, let's copy the department head this time because you didn't get the response you were looking for. Okay, let's copy your counselor now. And teaching them how to develop a relationship with their teachers, even the teachers that they don't get along with, how to then proceed from there. And I've had it go both ways with all of my children, and I have all boys, so they don't like to talk to people. It's really important to help them develop that, and I've seen it totally fall flat. And I have one kid who it really was a disaster one year, and the next year he was like, no, I've got to make a change. And I helped him to become a self-advocate, but it wasn't just throwing him to the wolves and be like, guy, you really screwed that up. No, like, how can we do this together? And when do we need to bring in the next level? And so happy to answer any questions about that. I've talked enough.
No, you're good. I'm Karen Kelly. I have 4 kids. One of them is a sophomore in college at UT in Austin. I have a senior, I have a freshman, and then I have a 5th grader at Saks. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the clubs and my experience with that. The kids are so busy, so I appreciate, and they're in a lot of sports, a lot of academics that are challenging them, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about was my older son, when he first started here, he was involved in a club sport that was outside of the school. So he was co-captain of the swim team. So his sport started in the winter. So in order to have connections into the school, he signed up for 5 different clubs when he was a freshman. Anything from, I think, stock market to volunteering at different outdoor sports and outdoor clubs and things like that that he got involved with. And what's nice about it is they meet right after school, various days during the week, and it's usually for 20 minutes to half an hour. So it's before the sports. So what's so nice is that it's anybody from in all the classes, so it becomes sort of a mentoring thing for your children, and it's an opportunity for the older kids to reach out to the younger children. So it was a really positive experience for him, and for all the children, really. So he was the founder of the Bee Club, BE, like buzzing bees, and so what he did was, freshman year, he was inspired by his biology teacher with the declining of the bees. And so sophomore year, he wrote up a proposal, got this biology teacher to be the advisor, and then he got a team of friends of his together. They formed a board, and what I thought was great about it was they got experience with fundraising, and they did more than bake sales, which are fine. That's how they started, and then they went into T-shirt sales, and then what I thought was great was they had an event here in this room where it was sort of a comedy night where they had a couple of kids in the school do their acts, and they also had a band, and they raised, I want to say, like $2,000. Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm a member of the Bee Club.
Oh, that's right.
So they had an awesome night that night, and they did raise a lot of money for the Bee Club. It was fabulous, and now we have 5 hives all around town, which is absolutely great.
Right. So I guess, and what I thought was so great about it was that it was kids from all different places. So it was sports kids and theater kids and performing arts and just different older kids, younger kids. So and not everybody necessarily had the same mission. It was all about the bees, but I just thought it was nice that they sort of all crossed and worked together. And there are tons of clubs. They're on the website under co-curricular activities. So if you wanted, the club fair was this past Friday, so I'm not sure if your kids mentioned it or not, but they probably feel, you know, a little bit overwhelmed and they're balancing homework. But if at some point during the course of the year, if they can pop into one of the clubs, and there is a huge variety from service clubs to theater clubs to just tons of different organizations. So, and they have them in the morning announcements so the kids can listen and find out about them. So that's what I wanted to share.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Scher. I have 3 children. My daughter just graduated last year. She's a first year at UVA. And then I have 2 boys, a sophomore and a junior. And I'm the current treasurer of the PFA, as well as the Rams Booster Club. So hopefully all of you guys joined the PFA already. Do a lot of great things throughout the year for the school. We give grants to a lot of the clubs that we've been talking about. We also have really good meetings with great speakers that come in, so it's a really good resource. Jody is our president of the PFA. So hopefully if everybody joined. If you didn't, you can see me and I can get you set up with that. I also was supposed to talk about the triple lunch. I know everybody gets confused about the triple lunch. So hopefully I got this right. So let me know if I do this wrong. So there's 3 lunches. Each lunch period is about 24 minutes. So the kids get their schedule at the beginning of the semester. It changes first and second semester. And they'll find out there if they have first lunch or third lunch. Or second. So what would they do? They'd go to their class. If they have first lunch, they go to the first period, obviously. First lunch. And then it's complicated.
It's complicated.
Right, they'll go to class, and then they go to lunch, and then they go back to class. And then third lunch, obviously, that makes sense. But sometimes if they have a free in there, then that's the triple lunch, that they have all those periods off. But they don't have to stay in the cafeteria. They can go to the library. But that's basically it.
Hi, I'm Jess Dooley. And I guess I'm supposed to speak about the visual and performing arts. I'm going to tell you I don't know much about the visual arts. I'm really more in the theater department. I know a good amount about choir and band, but visual arts I can't really speak to. I'm one of the assistant producers to the director, Dee Alexander, who runs the theater department. And I am mom to 5 kids. I have a sophomore at Boston College, a senior, a freshman, and then a 6th grader and a 2nd grader. My 2 older sons were involved like all 4 years in the theater department, and my now freshman, I'm sure, is going to be involved all 4 years. That's pretty much. What's kind of unusual about New Canaan is our school puts on 5 productions a year, and I know from when my now sophomore in college was doing the college audition circuit, talking to all these parents in like the backstage rooms, that when I would say we do 5 productions a year, the parents were like, is your kid going to a conservatory? And I was like, no, this is just like our public school. And so it's kind of amazing that we're able to do this. We do 3 musicals a year. Currently, in the fall, we do the underclassmen musical and then the upperclassmen play. So right now, at the same time, we're rehearsing Shrek Jr. and then Clue. And then in the winter, we are going to be putting on Mamma Mia. And then in the spring, we put on Footloose. And in the midst of all of that, the students can write their own plays, sometimes with music, which is incredible, and then audition, cast, direct, and act in all student-run productions, and that's called Drama Fest, and that goes up in like January. So it's very busy.
If you ever get a chance to go to Drama Fest, I do not have kids in the program.
It's amazing.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
It is so much fun.
It's really good. Let's see. So the other piece is, so we win awards. We're actually very good. Like, we go to these Connecticut awards, and every year we kind of clean up, and it's almost to the point where other schools are like, really, it's New Canaan again? But, I mean, I'm proud. And then, one thing I'd like to talk about is, like, the thing I really like about the theater department is I feel like it's, like, a very welcoming group of kids. Like, it doesn't matter if you want to be on the stage or if you want to sew. I mean, we have kids who, know how to do a button and leave the program, and they're, like, making full-on, like, costumes on sewing machines. The kids learn so much. And on Saturdays, they have something called Tech, where the kids are, as you can be here from 9 to 3. We know kids have lessons and other commitments. But basically, you have actors and kids who want to do backstage, and they're all working together to build sets, sew costumes, props. I mean, there aren't very many adults. I mean, we have some moms who come in and sew, and we have someone who helps with set building, but, like, these kids are really doing it. And when you see the final production, I mean, I meet people around town who are like, who needs to go to Broadway? We have New Canaan High School. So, I mean, it's great. And then the other thing, your child doesn't have to do all of the productions. We have students who are student athletes who come in on their off season and audition, and, it's great because you don't have to be in it all the time. We know kids have lots of interests, and you can always just, come in for whatever show you can do. We have a really pretty comprehensive website, so information about auditions, parent volunteer opportunities, the season, buying tickets, what the shows are about, is all on newcanaantheater.com. And then if you have any questions that you don't want to ask now, you can always, like, email or text me. I'm in the directory. So.
Jess, can you just, if a child is doing a sport, then they can also get involved in a play at another time? At another time, exactly. Okay. So, the rehearsal is a big commitment, like being in a show. But, like, we would have football players who would be out for the fall, audition, and then come in for the winter musical. Or a tennis player who does the first shows and then is out for the spring. So there's a lot of fluidity in that. Thank you. Mm-hmm. That's great. Oh, right, okay.
I'll take the first one. When should my child email a teacher or guidance counselor? Anytime they have a problem. All the time. I honestly cannot encourage you or your child to email them enough. I mean, it's especially your guidance counselor. One thing that you won't really figure out until junior year is that your guidance counselor is the one that's going to write a recommendation for your child going to college. And you have a junior meeting once the college counselors have their seniors sort of all set. They'll start their junior meetings, and they'll meet with you and your student. And what's a real shame, and it's happened to me, is you walk in and you're like, hi, this is my son. Like, they should know, and it's so much easier for them to write a recommendation if they haven't met your child, if they know, oh, this is the kid who did this freshman year, or, oh, I remember when he was having trouble with this teacher sophomore year, and we did this to work it out, and I remember how he did this, and so, because he's going to be, you'll fill out forms so that they have something to talk about, but if you can have your child, with your help, because they're not going to do it on their own, develop a relationship with their counselor now, it's so much easier going on, and they're going to feel so much more comfortable stopping in at a lunch and being like, hey, this teacher is doing this, what should I do? It's just another person to talk to in the school, and I know that it can be hard for the kids to talk to adults. They just feel like these, they're doing their own thing. They're there for your kids, and the more you can tell them that, and the more that you push them to talk to their counselor, the more comfortable they're going to feel talking to their counselor about anything and everything. It's really like one of the most underused parts of our school. It really is. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Overwhelmed. Somebody else take that one.
Oh, good moment. How can I mean, I really do think even with what Officer Lambert was saying, I know all of that can sound scary, but I think, you know, it's education, right? The more we're informed and the more we keep talking to our children and keep an open, and they don't necessarily, they're pushing away, right? They don't want to talk to us necessarily, but I really do think that check-in and that sort of, again, it speaks to what Sue was saying, is that I think the more you can get them used to that open dialogue, and if they are feeling overwhelmed, try to break things down for them. I think it's very basic, but I think it's worth saying and worth mentioning, and just trying to help them find a balance as far as, you know, sort of working it through with them. Okay, do you have a free tomorrow? Do you drop a class tomorrow? Because sometimes they'll come home and say, oh my gosh, I've got, you know, homework in every subject. Okay, well, do you drop a class today? Do you have a free, not that I'm encouraging doing homework during a free, but you can certainly ask for extra help at that point beforehand, sort of planning the week ahead of time, those kinds of basic things. You'd be surprised at how they get so overwhelmed that they can't sort of stop and figure that out. And so it's just sort of, you know, they're still young, and it's just teaching them the basics that they've been learning throughout, I think. Yeah, okay.
Just have to say, we added this next question: is there such a thing as a sleep-in? Because we had a freshman meeting, and one mom said her son told her that he had a sleep-in the next day, and she didn't believe him. So I thought, let everyone know it's a real thing.
They have a free first period. They don't have to show up until
and
you have to get them here, but
right. And a leave early too. Leave early. Yeah. They don't have to sign a note or anything.
Yeah.
They just sleep.
I don't think freshmen can leave early.
Freshmen can't leave.
Technically, you cannot leave. You'll have to check the actual policy. Okay. Okay.
Oh, you can pick them up.
You can.
But they can't just leave.
Yeah, they can't just leave.
Right. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. And 3-period lunch we covered. And the loud library. I've never heard the library.
Yeah, I've heard
so
that.
I think it's a really nice thing that they open up the library even during lunch periods. So it's loud because they use it for their free period. It's not like
so from what I understand, I haven't been in the library, but from what I understand, you can, the first part of the library, you can eat in there, and they've got tables so that things can be collaborative, and you can get, you know, another spot to visit each other. And then as you go into the library, then there are some quiet spots where they can actually get some things done. So I think that's
another thing too about the schedule. Hopefully you guys have all looked at the portal. It's a really good resource we have here. Don't go crazy looking at the grades. They don't want you looking at that every day. But it's really good if you want to know, like, if they do have a free, if they have it, or leave early, sleep in, whatever, go in the portal, and like it has your daily schedule on there because it's the rotating.
The matrix, yeah.
The matrix. So it's helpful.
All right. I think we've covered a lot of this.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, the Power School portal.
Power School portal.
So some people call it the portal, some people call it Power School, but it's the Power School portal.
Yeah.
Are the clubs online for us to look at as well?
They are. So, you know, it's funny though, they're called co-curricular organizations and clubs. So, and it's if you go to the high school website, I think it's the first on the left. They're 2018 to 2019. So as of last year, there's a Get Out. There's something. A friend of mine's daughter created something as simple, but I sort of feel like it's almost revolutionary. It's Get Outside. So she was sort of tired of everybody on the cell phones and not connecting, so they dropped the cell phones, and for 25 minutes to 30 minutes, however long, they go out and they hike, or they just kind of engage with each other and get outdoors. So it's a simple concept, but so I would encourage you to look through with your child, because they can start a new club, and I've detailed how you can do that, but it's there's so many different, there's so much, there's so much. It's so creative. I think the kids are amazing.
So if they didn't sign up for the club fair, say they were overwhelmed.
Right, that's okay.
How do they sign up now?
So it's, So they can just listen for the announcements, and they'll announce, you know, like the Bee Club meets on Mondays, other clubs meet on Tuesdays, and so they can listen for that in the morning announcements. They can also see, hang on, there is a person this year, there's an advisor. Ari Rothman, thank you.
Ari Rothman
Yes,
is the
Ari
person,
Rothman.
is the counselor, is the administrator who helps out with the club. So if there's a club that you see that you're interested in, have your child reach out to Ari, and he can give you the contact name for whatever clubs you're interested in.
Rothman. And
R-O-T-H.
he's here in the, so if you want to stop after, I can give you his contact details. He's one of the assistant principals. So it's great. Yes?
How do the clubs typically communicate with the kids?
Facebook.
I know, it is Facebook. I have to, it is Facebook. And a lot of the children communicate via Facebook. I understand.
The coaches don't. When they was talking about
The coaches
the
don't.
coaches don't go
No.
on, but that seems to be, even though they don't post on Facebook, that's how they communicate.
Yeah.
Right,
I
it
don't know,
is.
I can't keep up.
And I think our freshman class, I think it's, well, as you can hear, it's a transition year, and I think they're starting a ton of good things that our kids are really going to benefit from. So, I don't know, I think if we can be patient with them as they're transitioning. And I think, as you heard from Mr. Egan, I think he is very willing to have parents come to him and let them know about what they're hearing. So, so it is, Facebook is how a lot of the clubs are communicating.
Or group text, too.
Group text.
Group text, yeah.
Yeah, quick question
Yeah.
on the our school portal matrix. So are we accessing that through a login, or is it just?
Yeah, so the kids have a login, but you should also have a parent login. So it's usually your email, and then everybody has a different one, obviously. But so and you, that's where you can go in and see their grades. You can see their schedule. You can, and then if you're looking at their schedule, there's a little tab at the top that you can hit matrix, and it gives you that grid that says day A you have this, day B. Yeah.
I called the school the other day. I was told I had to go through my son's email. Maybe I got bad information.
I think you got bad information.
Oh, you did,
Yeah,
yes.
because each child has their own login where they can check their grades, but like I have a parent login so I can check all of my
Right.
children's.
Right.
Central office will probably be able
Or
to help you.
or you can stop in probably right here, and they can help you.
Yeah, there's an app, too, if you want it on your phone.
I would not encourage the app.
Oh, I love the app.
I don't like that.
I love the app.
It says when you try.
That's through your child.
That's through your child.
Right now, it's
yeah.
only children.
Every kid has their own individual.
Yes.
And you access it, not through a parent.
There is, as far as
Not
I know,
yet.
there is not a parent access to the Schoology.
Like next year.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Was there a question over here? I feel like,
Yeah.
yes.
So have the club started already?
Yes, a
Yes.
lot of the clubs have already started.
It's not too late.
No.
It really is never too late.
Yeah.
It really isn't, right? I mean, everybody's accepting into them, so.
The clubs are most of the clubs are student-run,
Yeah.
so they're very laid back, low-key.
Right, exactly. I mean, it'll say Monday, but they might cancel,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so, and to your point, they are student-run, so you have to be a little
Yeah.
flexible there. Exactly. Exactly. So that's great.
Any other questions? Well, I'd like to thank the parents on the parent panel, and I'd like to thank you all for coming out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Good job, girls.